So we were here with our man Tony, the renewable energy man. Tony, you needed to tell us something here about batteries for people that want to get started off the grid.
Well,
first of all, what kind of batteries do we have there?
well, what we have here, we have the Trojan L16Es. They're 370 ampere hours. They're 6 volt apiece, and we have them hooked up in series. And that way, we end up getting 24 volts total. We have 4 batteries hooked up, and that goes into your 24 volt system.
Okay, so real quick, people can choose to go 12 volt, 24, and 48, and that just comes down to later on when you spec out some of the particular things you want to get done, right? And size.
Exactly. Basically, the more voltage your system is, a little more capacity you're going to be able to put out of it.
Okay.
And then you balance that with your ampere hours so you get what you need out of it.
So what about maintenance on these things, Tony?
So, when you have a battery system, you want to make sure it's maintained. You want to make sure it's clean. You don't have a lot of corrosion on your terminals, because what that corrosion does is it slows down the flow of electricity to the other batteries, and then they're going to have to work a little bit harder, and it's just not going to work as efficiently. But the first thing you definitely want to make sure you do before you start doing anything with your batteries is you disconnect your system. And that's what we've done here. Is we have a disconnect box, and we've thrown in the off position, so now our system's dead.
Right.
And
which means there's no power coming from the solar collectors, from the PV panels.
Exactly.
Right?
There's still plenty of power left in the batteries,
right.
But there's nothing feeding back in.
Yeah.
So what you're seeing here is we've got our disconnect box. We have our Xantrex 1800 watt full sine wave inverter, which takes the DC power from the batteries and turns it into workable AC, so you can plug in your appliances or whatever you may want to do. So what we have here is we have our charge controller, which basically takes all the voltage from our panels, which are on top, and keeps it at a regulated 24 volts for our batteries, so it doesn't overcharge the batteries. And that's very important, because that way we're taking care of our batteries. This will make sure it's not overcharged, and it'll regulate what's going into the batteries.
Right, which is basically what happened today. We had to replace that battery there, $222, and great price from a great company, Battery Mart, but that was because one cell had gone bad because we hadn't maintained it properly, and we only got 5 years out of them, and then we have to replace and get back on track here.
Exactly. These batteries were abused. When you have a solar system like this, it's really important that you don't overdrain your batteries. You don't want to take these batteries down to zero. They are deep cycle batteries, but the more you do that, the less time you're going to get out of your batteries. You want to try to keep it in that 35% discharge range, meaning, your battery capacity, you only take it down 30% from what it is from its full. A lot of people say, well, you can take them down a little bit more, but the research I've done, I think that 30%, you can get a lot more time out of your batteries. Where our mistake is, we've taken these batteries down quite often down to zero, which is not something you want to do. So we did not get as much time out of the batteries as we could have.
Right. So you have to pay attention if you're going to have one of these systems. You have to keep tracking them, keep a watch.